I never expected betrayal to taste like roasted garlic and fresh herbs. One second I was stirring a pot of sauce, dreaming about family laughter. The next, I was standing frozen, spoon in hand, listening to my husband and his mother mocking me in Spanish, not knowing I understood every single word. That night, my world shattered. My name's Lila. I'm 25, born and raised in South Carolina, now living in a modest little house outside Charlotte, North Carolina. My husband, Adrian, is 30, the man I thought was my future. We met at a street fair 3 years ago, his smile wide, his charm easy. I fell hard fast. We married within a year. I thought I knew him. I thought love meant security, a home, children one day. Instead, love was a mask he wore until I caught the cracks. His family never made it easy for me, especially his mother, Marisol. She had a sharp way of smiling, like she was testing me every second. She and Adrian would often slip into Spanish during conversations, and I'd sit there, pretending not to notice. For a while, I told myself it was innocent. But the truth was, I hated feeling like a stranger in my own marriage. So quietly, I fixed that. I signed up for late-night online courses, practiced with flashcards at lunch, even whispered phrases in the mirror. I never told Adrian. Not because I wanted to hide it, but because I wanted to surprise him one day. I wanted to belong. By the time Marisol came over for Sunday dinner, I was good. Not fluent, but good enough to follow every word. I cooked all day, chopping, stirring, tasting, pouring my heart into a meal I thought would bring us closer. Garlic roasted, peppers sizzled, sauce simmered thick. When Adrian brought his mother in, my chest swelled with hope. For a moment, it felt almost perfect. Marisol hugged me politely. Adrian kissed my cheek. I served the food, eager to hear laughter fill the house. And then it happened. From the kitchen, I heard Marisol's sharp voice in Spanish. "Why didn't you make this, Adrian? Her food is never good." My chest tightened. Adrian replied, low, steady. "Don't worry, Mama. I handle most of it. We don't need her ruining things." Ruining things. I froze, ladle in hand, steam curling against my face while the words cut deeper than any knife. My cooking was my love language. Every spice, every dish, a piece of myself. And here they were, tearing it apart, laughing behind my back. I slipped my phone from my pocket, opening the translation app to confirm I wasn't imagining. No mistake. I understood them. Perfectly. When I carried plates into the dining room, Marisol looked at me with that tight smile. "Oh, Lila, this looks so nice. I'm surprised Adrian made it." Adrian chuckled, his eyes guilty. I wanted to scream. Instead, I kept my face calm, my phone tucked under the table, recording every word. And then Marisol leaned closer to Adrian, speaking quickly in Spanish. "Tomorrow is the day. We go to the cabin. Don't let her find out." My blood ran cold. Adrian nodded. "She doesn't know, Mama. I told her it's work. She'll never notice." The cabin. They were talking about his great-uncle's place in the mountains, a stunning property rumored to be worth millions. I'd heard stories about it, how the uncle planned to leave it to someone deserving. I thought Adrian and I were building toward dreams like that together. Instead, he was plotting with his mother to take it, behind my back. And then, the knife twisted deeper. Marisol's voice was cruel. "You're too young for her, Adrian. That cabin is your way out. Sell it, start fresh. Why stay stuck with her?" My throat burned. Adrian didn't argue. He just muttered, "I know, Mama. I'm tired of this life." I excused myself to check dessert. In the kitchen, my hands shook, but my mind was racing. Marisol's purse sat open. Without thinking, I slid out her phone. No password. My heart pounded as I found the uncle's number and sent it to myself before erasing the evidence. I wasn't sure what I'd do yet, but I knew this. If they thought I was some naive girl too busy to notice, they were about to learn how wrong they were. That night, while Adrian snored on the couch, I crept into his office. He'd left his laptop password out loud earlier. My fingers shook as I typed it in. Flight details popped up on the screen. Charlotte to Asheville. Tomorrow afternoon. My pulse hammered. I clicked. Changed the flight. Delayed it by a day. Small move, but enough to buy me time. And then, with trembling hands, I picked up my phone and texted his uncle. "Hi, it's Lila. Can we talk tomorrow? It's important." The next morning, I left before Adrian's alarm went off. I couldn't risk him noticing me gone. I drove into downtown Charlotte, checked into a budget hotel, and sat on the edge of the stiff mattress with my phone in hand, staring at the uncle's number I'd stolen from Marisol's phone. My palms were sweating. Finally, I dialed. "Lila, is everything all right?" His voice was warm, curious, almost too kind for what I was about to say. I told him everything. My voice shook, but I didn't hold back. The Sunday dinner. The Spanish I wasn't supposed to understand. The The plan to fly out and seize the cabin. The way Adrian had called me a burden. The way Marisol told him I was his dead weight. My throat tightened, but I kept talking. I recorded it. I whispered. Every word. I'll send it to you. There was silence on the line for a moment. Then a sigh. Heavy, disappointed. Send it, Lila. Let me hear it myself. I pressed play, held the phone close, and let him listen. His voice when he came back was nothing like before. It was older, sharper, filled with hurt. So it's true. My own nephew, plotting to use me. My stomach churned. I'm sorry, No, he cut me off. Don't apologize. You opened my eyes. They think they can trick me, but they won't. His tone changed, low and deliberate. That cabin belongs to someone with heart, not greed. Lila, I think that someone is you. I froze, blinking at the dull hotel wallpaper. Me? Yes. You. The weight of it pressed down on me. My chest ached. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Meanwhile, my phone buzzed again and again. Adrian. I ignored it. Then came Marisol's number. Finally, I answered, keeping my voice calm. Lila, where are you? Adrian's tone was sharp, panicked. I could hear airport announcements blaring in the background. The flight got moved. Don't play games. Did you do this? I smiled faintly, though my heart pounded. Why would I? Maybe you misbooked. You seem distracted. Cut it out, he snapped. Where are you? Taking some me time, I said lightly. You seem so busy planning with your mom. I figured you wouldn't mind. The line went quiet. I almost heard his brain spinning, realizing I knew. You understood us? His voice cracked. Yes, Adrian. I understood everything. Every word. Every insult. Every plan. And I wasn't the clueless fool you thought I was. Marisol's voice screeched through the phone. Lila, you don't understand. Oh, I understand perfectly. I cut her off. You call me baggage. Said Adrian should leave me. You plotted to steal that cabin behind my back. And guess what? I told your uncle. He knows. Silence. Dead, shocked silence. I hung up before they could spit out another excuse. My hands were trembling, but my chest felt strangely calm. That afternoon, the uncle called back. Lila, I've made my decision. I'm putting the cabin in your name. They'll fight it, but legally, I can do as I please. I want it to go to someone who values honesty. That's you. Tears welled up in my eyes. I pressed my hand against my mouth, shaking. I don't know what to say. Say yes, he said simply. And I did. By evening, my phone was a storm. Adrian sent a dozen frantic texts. Angry ones. Begging ones. Threats mixed with apologies. Marisol left voicemails, her voice trembling between rage and desperation. I ignored them all. But the strangest part came late that night. A knock rattled my hotel door. My stomach dropped. Carefully, I peered through the peephole. Adrian, standing there in the dim hallway, his eyes wild, his hair disheveled. Lila, he called softly. Open the door. Please, just talk to me. I stepped back, my pulse hammering. How did he find me? I hadn't told him where I was staying. Another knock. Harder this time. Lila, I know you're in there. We can fix this. Just let me explain. I pressed my back against the wall, clutching my phone. My uncle's promise echoed in my ears. The cabin was mine. But now, so was the storm I'd unleashed. And Adrian wasn't leaving until I faced him. The pounding on my hotel door didn't stop. Each knock echoed through the thin walls like a drumbeat of dread. Lila, Adrian's voice cracked. Please let me in. We can work this out. Work this out. He had plotted to leave me, plotted to sell the cabin, plotted to erase me from his future. And now he stood on the other side of the door, begging. My heart raced, but my brain screamed, don't trust him. I stayed silent. Then his tone changed. Lower. Sharper. I know you talked to Frank. Don't play dumb. He's not answering us. You ruined everything. Open this door. I pressed my palm to the wall, steadying myself. His words, his desperation, it all confirmed what I already knew. He hadn't come for me. He'd come for damage control. Go home, Adrian. I finally said through the door, my voice steady. It's over. For a moment, silence. Then, the sound of his fist slamming the doorframe. Don't you dare do this to me. To us. Us. My stomach twisted. There was no us anymore. There was only him and his lies. The banging grew louder. A neighbor opened their door down the hall, peeking out nervously. Adrian noticed and forced a smile, raising his hands like he was calm. Then he lowered his voice and hissed. You think Frank's on your side? He doesn't know the full story. I'll make sure he hears mine. I backed away, grabbed my phone, and called the front desk. Within minutes, hotel security appeared. Adrian tried to argue, tried to charm them, but they escorted him out. I watched from the peephole as he shoved his hands through his hair, pacing, before storming off. Relief washed over me, But it didn't last. Because later that night, I got a text from an unknown number. You think you've won. But this isn't over. My breath caught. It had to be Marisol. The next morning, Frank called again. His voice was calm, but I could hear the weight behind it. Lila, I want you to come to the cabin. See it for yourself. If you're going to fight for it, you need to feel it. I'll meet you there. Part of me wanted to curl up and hide. But another part, the stronger part, refused. They wanted me to stay small, scared, silent. Not anymore. So I packed a bag, checked out of the hotel, and drove toward the Blue Ridge Mountains. Each mile farther from Charlotte, the tension eased, replaced by determination. When I finally pulled up, the cabin took my breath away. Massive log beams, a wide wraparound porch, views of green peaks stretching for miles. It was more than a house. It was a fortress, a dream. Frank met me at the door. His silver hair glinted in the sunlight, his eyes tired but kind. You made it, he said. Inside, we sat at a heavy oak table. I showed him the recordings, scrolling through the files on my phone. He listened, face tightening with every cruel word Marisol spat, every cold remark Adrian made. When it ended, he rubbed his forehead. I can't believe it. My own blood, willing to betray me for money. They don't care about you, I said softly. Or me, or this place. They only care about themselves. He looked at me, long and hard. Then he nodded. That's why I've decided. You're the one. This cabin is yours. My chest tightened, tears threatening. But before I could speak, my phone buzzed violently. A video call. Adrian. Against my better judgment, I answered. His face filled the screen, angry, desperate. Marisol loomed behind him. Lila, listen, Adrian said quickly. We can fix this. You don't understand what Frank's doing. He's manipulating you. I laughed bitterly. Manipulating me? You call me baggage. You plotted to use him and toss me aside. I have the proof. Marisol leaned forward, her eyes flashing. You little snake. You think you're clever? You don't know how this family works. That cabin is ours. Frank, sitting across from me, chuckled darkly. Actually, Marisol, it's not. He leaned into the camera, his voice firm. It belongs to Lila now, and there's nothing you can do about it. The color drained from Adrian's face. Marisol sputtered, her voice rising into a shriek. You can't do this. I already did, Frank said. He ended the call with a flick of his hand, calm as stone. I stared at him, stunned. You really? It's done, he said simply. They won't stop trying, but legally, they don't have a leg to stand on. My phone buzzed again, text after text pouring in. Threats, begging, promises, lies. My stomach churned, but my resolve only grew stronger. As I looked out the window, the mountains stretching wide and endless, I realized something. This wasn't just about a cabin anymore. It was about proving to myself I could stand tall in the face of betrayal. And for the first time, I wasn't afraid. But little did I know, Adrian and Marisol weren't finished. They were already on their way. The mountains were quiet that evening, but my chest wasn't. Every time the wind rattled through the trees, I jumped. Every creak of the cabin's wood floors sent a chill through me. Frank had left after dinner, promising he'd return in the morning with paperwork finalizing the transfer. Lock the doors, he'd said, his voice low. Don't take any risks. Adrian won't let this go. He was right. I knew it. And sure enough, just past midnight, headlights cut across the driveway. My heart slammed. I ducked to the window, peeking through the curtains. Adrian's car. He was here. And Marisol was with him. They weren't supposed to know the cabin's exact location. How did they find it? My mind raced, replaying every text, every voicemail. Had I slipped? Had Frank? A car door slammed. Then another. Voices carried in the cold mountain air. Adrian, Marisol hissed. We'll talk to her calmly. She'll listen. No, he snapped back. She'll listen because she has to. I backed away from the window, my hands trembling. My phone was in my pocket, set to record, but what good would that do if they forced their way in? A pounding shook the front door. Lila. Adrian's voice was sharp, commanding. Open up. We just want to talk. I stayed silent, pressing myself against the wall. Another bang. Harder this time. You can't keep us out forever. Marisol shouted. That cabin belongs to family. My breath came fast and shallow. My fingers hovered over the phone keypad, ready to dial 911. But part of me wanted to face them, to finally let them see I wasn't scared anymore. I inched toward the door, my heart hammering. Go home. I shouted back. It's over. Frank gave it to me. You can't change that. Silence. Then a low laugh from Adrian. You really think Frank's signature is enough? Money talks, Lila. Lawyers talk. And you? You're nothing without me. Rage flared, cutting through the fear. Nothing without you? I was everything without you. I built my life before you. and I'll build it after. The doorknob rattled violently. I stumbled back. Then, crack. The doorframe splintered. I screamed, sprinted to the kitchen, and grabbed the first thing my hand landed on, a cast iron skillet. My chest heaved, my legs shook, but my grip tightened around the cold metal. The door burst open. Adrian stepped in first, his face twisted, eyes wild. Marisol followed, her expression sharp, her hands clenched like claws. Lila, put that down, Adrian said, his voice low, coaxing. You're overreacting. We just want to talk. Stay back, I shouted, my voice shaking. He took a step forward. Lila, I raised the skillet high. One more step, Adrian, and I swear. He froze. For the first time, I saw fear flicker across his face. Marisol sneered. You wouldn't dare. You're too weak. I laughed bitterly. That's what you thought. That's why you whispered in Spanish like I was some clueless fool. But I'm not weak. And I'm not clueless. I lifted my phone with my free hand, the screen glowing. I'm recording. Every word. Every move. You break one more thing in here, and the cops will have proof of trespassing and threats. Adrian's jaw tightened. His eyes darted between the skillet and the phone. For a moment, the room was nothing but heavy breathing and the ticking of a clock on the mantel. Then headlights swept across the cabin again. Another car. Marisol's face paled. Who? Frank's truck rolled into view, crunching gravel under its tires. Relief flooded me so hard my knees almost buckled. Within seconds, Frank was at the porch, flashlight in one hand, phone in the other. What the hell is going on here? His voice boomed. Adrian stiffened. Uncle, this isn't what it looks like. It looks, Frank growled, stepping inside, like you broke into her home. My home. Get out. Now. Marisol bristled. She tricked you. She manipulated you. Frank's laugh was sharp. No, Marisol. You and your son did that. And I've got the recordings to prove it. She's the only one who told me the truth. Adrian's eyes darted wildly, like a cornered animal. For a second, I thought he might lunge. But Frank pulled something from his jacket pocket, a gun. Small, but steady in his weathered hands. Out, Frank said coldly. Before I call the sheriff. The tension was unbearable. My breath caught as Adrian clenched his fists, rage burning in his eyes. But Marisol grabbed his arm, hissing, not here. Not now. He pulled back, his chest heaving, but finally turned. This isn't over, Lila, he spat, his voice low and venomous. You'll regret crossing me. They stormed out, the night swallowing them whole. I sank into a chair, my body shaking so hard I nearly dropped the skillet. Frank holstered the gun, his jaw still set tight. You all right? I nodded weakly, though tears burned my eyes. I think so. But deep down, I knew the truth. This wasn't the end. Adrian and Marisol had been humiliated, and people like them didn't forgive. They would be back. And next time, it might be worse. The cabin was quiet again the next morning, but my nerves weren't. Every shadow outside looked like Adrian returning. Every sound in the woods made me flinch. I barely slept, replaying the moment he shattered the door. The skillet still sat on the counter, like proof of how close things had gotten. Frank arrived just after sunrise with coffee in hand and an envelope tucked under his arm. His expression was serious. Good news first, he said, settling at the table. I've started the paperwork. This place is yours. By law, it can't be taken from you. I meant what I said. Relief swept over me. I sipped the coffee, my hands still trembling, and nodded. But, he hesitated, pulling the envelope closer. There's something you need to know. The word but made my stomach twist. Frank slid the envelope across the table. This is my old will. The one I wrote years ago before I met you. It leaves the cabin to Adrian. My breath caught. What? He nodded grimly. I planned to change it, but I never got around to updating the papers until recently. I filed a new one last month, naming you. It's legal. Binding. But if Adrian and Marisol get their hands on this old version, they'll try to challenge it. Drag you through court. Paint you as the manipulative outsider who tricked me. My chest tightened. I could almost hear Marisol's voice sneering. She doesn't belong. She took what isn't hers. They'll fight dirty, Frank continued. You need to be ready. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. A new message. Unknown number again. A photo. Of a document. My heart dropped. It was the old will. Beneath it, a message. We found it. Hope you enjoyed your little victory. See you in court. I slammed the phone on the table. They already have it. Frank's jaw clenched. That means they broke into my house. That's the only way. Panic surged through me, but so did anger. They weren't just coming for me anymore. They were willing to steal from Frank to get what they wanted. That afternoon, the sheriff drove up after Frank reported the break-in. He was a tall man with a calm drawl, his notebook balanced in one hand. I explained everything. The threats, The recordings, the trespassing at the cabin, and now the stolen will. Sounds messy, he said. But if you've got proof, you've got the edge. Keep documenting everything. If they push this in court, you'll want every scrap of evidence. Proof. My recordings. My texts. Their threats. My chest lifted slightly. Maybe that was my weapon. But just when I thought I had a strategy, the next twist came. Late that evening, Frank received a call from his lawyer. I watched his face tighten as he listened, his knuckles white around the phone. When he hung up, he turned to me, his voice flat. They filed an injunction. What does that mean? I asked, dread pooling in my gut. It means, he said slowly, Adrian and Marisol are claiming I was coerced. That you manipulated me into changing the will. They want the court to freeze everything until a judge decides. I staggered back, my hand gripping the edge of the table. They can't. They can, he cut in. It doesn't mean they'll win. But it means they'll drag you into a fight. And they'll make it ugly. The room spun. For weeks, I'd been fighting for scraps of dignity, for survival. Now I was about to fight in front of a judge, with Adrian painting me as a manipulator. That night, alone in the cabin, I scrolled through my phone again, replaying the recordings. Adrian's voice saying he was tired of me. Marisol calling me baggage. Their plan to sneak away, sell the cabin, and leave me behind. Proof. Proof they weren't victims. Proof I wasn't some trickster. But fear still gnawed at me. Court wasn't just about truth. It was about who could twist it better. And Adrian had charm, dangerous charm. The kind that could turn people to his side. As I stared out the window at the dark mountain sky, my phone buzzed again. Another message. This time, it was a video. Adrian, sitting in some dimly lit room, staring straight into the camera. His tone was calm, chilling. You think Frank's money can protect you? You think a piece of paper will keep me out? No, Lila. This isn't about the cabin anymore. This is about you and me. And I always win. The screen went black. I dropped the phone, my stomach churning. My reflection in the window looked pale, fragile. But somewhere deep inside, a spark burned hotter than fear. If he wanted a war, then fine. I'd fight. And this time, I wasn't fighting for just a cabin. I was fighting for my life. The courthouse smelled like old paper and dust. My hands trembled as I clutched the folder of recordings, texts, and screenshots. This wasn't just a legal battle. It was the last chapter of a nightmare I never signed up for. Adrian walked in first, perfectly polished, suit pressed, hair combed, smile practiced. Marisol followed, her eyes sharp, her expression dripping with disdain. They looked like a team walking into victory. When his gaze found mine, Adrian smirked. That same smirk that used to melt me now made my stomach turn. The hearing began. Their lawyer painted me as an outsider who seduced Frank into rewriting his will. A manipulator. A liar. Adrian even put on tears, his voice breaking as he said, "She twisted my uncle against me. She made him believe lies. She destroyed my family." The judge watched carefully, his pen scratching notes. For a moment, I felt the walls closing in. Adrian was good. Too good. Then it was my turn. My throat tightened, but I forced the words out. "Your Honor, I'm not here to steal anything. I loved Adrian. I trusted him. But he and his mother plotted behind my back, in a language they thought I didn't understand. They mocked me. They schemed to take everything for themselves." I handed over my phone. The bailiff carried it to the judge. The recordings played aloud in the courtroom. Adrian's voice, low and cruel. "She doesn't know, Mama. I told her I'm going out of town for work." Marisol's sneer. "She's baggage. Too young for you. The cabin is our ticket out." And then Adrian again. "I'm tired of this life. The cabin's my way out." The room shifted. The smirk slid off Adrian's face. Marisol turned pale. The judge raised an eyebrow, pausing the recording. "Mr. Alvarez, do you deny this is your voice?" Adrian stammered. It's taken out of context." The judge cut him off. "It's damning. Very damning." My chest swelled, tears stinging my eyes. For the first time in weeks, I felt like the truth was louder than his lies. But then came the twist. The lawyer for Adrian slammed down a folder. "Your Honor, we have the original will, naming Adrian as heir. This proves our case." My heart dropped. The room buzzed with whispers. The judge flipped through the pages, his brow furrowed. Then his expression changed. "Counselor, this document is invalid. No seal. No witness signatures." And from the looks of it, he tapped the corner. "It's been tampered with." Gasps rippled through the courtroom. My eyes widened. Could it be? The judge held up the document. "This is a forgery. An attempt to deceive this court. Mr. Alvarez, Ms. Alvarez, do you know what kind of charges that carries?" Adrian's face went white. Marisol's mouth opened and closed like she couldn't breathe. Their lawyer sat back, speechless. In that moment, everything flipped. The hunter became the hunted. The judge banged his gavel. Case dismissed. The property transfer stands. And I'll be forwarding this forgery to the district attorney's office. You may want to prepare yourselves. It was over. Just like that. Adrian stood, shaking, his mask shattered. He glared at me across the courtroom, his eyes burning with hatred. This isn't the end, Lila, he hissed. You'll regret this. I met his stare, my voice steady. No, Adrian. The only thing I regret is ever believing you loved me. The bailiff stepped in, guiding them toward the exit. Marisol screamed, her voice echoing off the walls. Adrian shoved at the guards, but they held firm. They looked like trapped animals, and for once, I didn't feel fear. I felt free. When the gavel fell for the last time, Frank squeezed my hand. You did it, kid. You stood up and won. Outside the courthouse, the sun blazed bright. Reporters were already circling, snapping photos, shouting questions. I ignored them all, breathing in the crisp air like it was the first breath of my life. That night, I returned to the cabin. My cabin. I curled up on the porch, the mountains sprawling endlessly before me, and finally let myself cry. Not from fear, not from betrayal, from relief, from victory. Adrian and Marisol were finished. Their lies exposed, their schemes burned to ash. And me? I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was stronger, sharper, unbreakable. That's the end of today's story. Did things turn out the way you thought, or were there some surprises along the way? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to hit the like button. And if you haven't joined the community yet, now's the perfect time. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you're always the first to catch new stories. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next adventure.